Hello and welcome. My name is Alan and we are back today with another video that is again late. This was meant to be Friday's video. Anyway, yeah. What we are going to do is first watch a video here. We'll do some discussion on it and then we'll go a little further into what I am wanting to talk about in scope here. Hold on. I didn't mean to do that. Stop. I hate when it does this stuff to me sometimes. But anyway, this is the Nuremberg trials. Channel is British Pathé, I guess is what it's called. Anyway, give it a like. Y'all go down, subscribe to the channel. I'll subscribe here. But anyway, yeah. Just to kind of give them notification, liking of the video and everything. But now let's get into it.
Attention! Tribunal!
Judges from Britain, America, Russia, and France assemble in Nuremberg's courthouse.
Now, Russia, Britain, America, and France. These are the four powers who decided everything after World War II. Because if you know anything about how Germany was divided up following the World War, you had the East and West Germany. East Germany, controlled by the Soviet Union. West Germany originally was three sections, each controlled by one of the three other countries, France, Britain, and the US. Essentially, France and Britain withdrew, and Germany became a battle of the Cold War. In the way they were governed by the US and by the Soviet Union, now Russia.
Empowered to impose sentence of death, or such punishment as it may consider just, the tribunal sits in judgment upon 20 leaders of the Nazi Party. After a first day spent in reading the
20 leaders, but of course they didn't have the very, very top leaders because many of them were dead or had already fled. Hitler, of course, supposedly committed suicide in the bunker, and some of the others, you think of the big names, they often got away. Heinrich Himmler, Joseph Mengele, Lord, who else? Joseph Goebbels. Yeah. All of them had already gone by that point. The biggest name we have being held in these trials is Hermann Goering.
The 30,000-word indictment. The unemotional tones of Lord Justice Lawrence, President of the Court, open the second day's proceedings.
On Thursday, the 18th of October, 1945, in Berlin, the indictment was lodged with the tribunal, and a copy of that indictment in the German language has been furnished to each defendant and has been in his possession for more than 30 days.
So begins the case of humanity against the makers of war.
The defendants to plead guilty or not guilty to the charges against them. Hermann Wilhelm Goering.
Thinner, and without the notorious medals, the once mighty Nazi number 2 still postures in the limelight. While he waited in the dock, he wrote a statement which he tried to read before entering his plea. He said, "Before I answer the question whether I am guilty or not guilty," and that was as far as he got.
Bevor ich die Frage des Gerichtshofes beantworte, ob ich mich schuldig oder nicht schuldig bekenne.
Yeah, Hermann Goering, like I said, was the biggest name they had in the Nuremberg trials, which was held specifically putting the Third Reich and Hitler's Nazis on trial. Goering himself was a close associate of Hitler and was very high up. They say number 2. Very arguable, but very likely chance. Yeah, he was that high up. He, like I said, very close to Hitler. They had both served in World War I believe, together. So, yeah. Which, of course, World War I was 1914 to 1918. World War II, 1940 to 45.
I informed the court that defendants were not entitled to make a statement. You must plead guilty or not guilty.
Ich bekenne mich im Sinne der Anklage nicht schuldig.
Furious, the one-time Reichsmarshal shouts, "I declare myself not guilty." And now Hess, the mentally hazy Hess, the lost memory man.
Rudolf Hess.
Rudolf Hess is another big name. Yeah. When you look at Nazi history.
Nein.
That will be entered as a plea of not guilty.
The Ribbentrop, pale, nervous, picks up the refrain of not guilty.
Ich bekenne mich im Sinne der Anklage für nicht schuldig.
Object lessons in psychology. The character of each comes out in the manner of his not guilty plea.
Wilhelm Keitel.
Ich bekenne mich nicht schuldig.
Wilhelm Frick.
Ex-Minister of the Interior.
Nicht schuldig.
Julius Streicher.
Pronounced sane by medical experts, Jew Beta number 1 stands trial with arrest.
Nicht schuldig.
Walter Funk.
This is Hitler's ex-economic advisor.
Ich bekenne mich nicht als schuldig.
So you see, a lot of them now they're getting into are members of the government that was in charge while Hitler ruled.
Hjalmar Schacht.
Hitler's money wizard varies the words, but still pleads not guilty.
Ich bin in keiner Weise schuldig.
Erich Raeder.
Ex-U-boat chief.
Ich bekenne mich nicht schuldig.
The Nazi youth leader.
Baldur von Schirach.
Ich bekenne mich im Sinne der Anklage als nicht schuldig.
Arthur Seyss-Inquart.
Ex-Gauleiter of Holland.
Ich bekenne mich nicht schuldig.
Albert Speer.
Now the backroom Nazi and armaments chief.
Nicht schuldig.
There have always been ambitious and ruthless men ready to gamble with the lives of their fellows.
Yeah. This, as we are watching, is part of the Nuremberg trials. As I've already said, they placed the biggest names of the Nazis they could find, of the Hitler's regime they could find, on trial. And what I want to bring to this idea is I think Trump and his administration need to be placed on a similar such trial. Because sadly, there is so much that is similar to the way the Nazis ruled Germany in the 1930s. So I think justice cries out for a reply that is similar to the Nuremberg trials. I mean, it's not just removing them from office. They have committed serious acts against humanity with the way they have used ICE as their own Gestapo. They have gleefully stripped health care and other things from people. These are acts against the citizenry, against the people, against humanity. And for that, it's not a matter of just removing them from office. They need to be tried for the evils they have committed. Let's not forget how many times Trump has trampled. I've said this over and over. He shredded, set afire, and then shit on our Constitution several fucking times. Multiple amendments he don't give a damn about. Trying to usurp lawmaking as an executive, which is not what the executive branch does. Now, yeah, from the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. After the war, Allied powers, the U.S., Britain, France, and the Soviet Union came together to form an international military tribunal. And from 45 to 46, Nazi leaders stood trial for crimes against peace, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and conspiracy to commit any of the foregoing crimes. So yeah. Representing the U.S., Harry Truman appointed Associate Supreme Court Justice Robert H. Jackson to be the chief prosecutor representing the U.S. Lord Justice Jeffrey Lawrence of Great Britain would serve as the court's presiding judge. And they were called the Nuremberg trials because, of course, they were held in Nuremberg, Germany. So, yeah. Let's see, what else? Yeah, they didn't get Himmler, who was one of the most notorious figures. Okay, he committed suicide by ingesting cyanide. He was one of the ones most responsible for the Holocaust. And he got to worm his way out. Of the 19... let's see, 19 were convicted. How many total were put on trial? 24. So, of the 24, 19 were convicted. And 3 acquitted. That only gives us 22. What happened to the other 2? And heard of evidence against 21 of the defendants. Of those convicted, 19, 12 were sentenced to death. 3 were sentenced to life imprisonment, and 4 to prison in terms ranging from 10 to 20 years. So yeah. I think there needs to be a similar tribunal held for the Trump administration. Absolutely. Trump, his cabinet heads, and I think the fucking entire Republican Party needs to be put on trial for allowing this evil to go forth. And doing nothing but, yes, man, yes, sir, sir. Obeying orders is not a fucking acceptable excuse. This is from the U.S.'s Office of the Historian talking about the trials. As well, there were Tokyo war crimes trials. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that to attention as an idea because, yeah, we really need to punish these people for what they have done. It's only been 6 months, but they have committed so many wrongs in the process. They need to be held accountable. I don't give a shit what Roberts and the Supreme Clown Car said, because they're so far in the goddamn ass of the Republican Party, they were going to give him what he fucking wanted. So yeah. Fuck Trump. Fuck his administration. And fuck the Republican Party. They need to be put on trial for the evils they have committed. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. They've already done so much injustice, so much inhumanity in the way they have fucking governed. Yeah, all of them need to be put on trial. Abso-fucking-lutely. I mean, like I said, he shredded the Constitution multiple times. They basically shit on the idea of due process, which again is a constitutional promise. So again, more ripping apart our Constitution and shitting on it, setting it alight. And the way they have treated people. Because it's not just going after criminals. No. A lot of those they fucking imprisoned and detained are citizens. Or are people that were here legally. Fuck Trump. Fuck the Republicans. And fuck his administration. All of them. All of them need to be put on trial. Trump, Vance, Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, Marco Rubio, all of them on fucking trial. Without a fucking doubt. But we'll go ahead and end this episode there. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing. Ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these links in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.